Hello and welcome to Get Good with Articulate Storyline, brought to you by San Diego ATD and ISBI SoCal. I am John Morley, an instructional design consultant. So if I can help you with a project, my email address is going into the chat window. Now for a word from our sponsors, San Diego ATD and ISBI SoCal. Okay, ATD is getting social again with real people in a real place to for a festive holiday celebration. That will be a Thursday, December 4th. The next day, the very next day is the first Friday of the month, which means it's time for a roundtable. In this case, the article being discussed will be how are students really using AI? And students are known for experimenting, so what the students are doing may be a harbinger of what the rest of the population will be doing with AI. Facilitator will be Anthony Markovich. He is on the board of directors for ISPI, a really pleasant person. It's nice to spend an hour with Anthony. The following Wednesday, again, ISPI. This is an installment in their AI at Work series. In this case, talking about practical applications in teaching and learning. Host Sarah Golden and the guest speaker Rob Poosh are both also on the board of directors for ISPI. Rob teaches at Syracuse University, so he knows a bunch about both teaching and learning, and that what he teaches is learning technologies, which is kind of what we're talking about this evening. And I will not be here talking about Storyline next month. My secret identity is that of Elf, and Santa has called me to go to work. Uh, but we do have an entire YouTube channel of recordings of previous workshops, and this includes the one that Ron Price was a guest speaker on. Web address for which is in the chat window if you would like to take a look at what has been done in the past. No one knows everything about Storyline, especially me. So this evening we are very fortunate to have with us to share what he does know, Thaddeus Smith. Thaddeus began his over 24 years in education and learning by earning an MA degree from Georgia State University and certification from the Applied Instructional Design Academy. He is the founder of TMS Instructional Design with clients including SweetRush, Siemens, and UConn. A big deal there in that UConn develops the training that comes straight from Articulate. Thaddeus has participated in over 20 of Articulate's e-learning heroes challenges, where I became impressed by his work, and has done a webinar for Articulate and spoken at the 2025 Articuland Summit. His 22 years developing media for learning German and English as second languages are a good demonstration of his love of languages. He is fluent in German, conversational in Spanish, and he kind of sort of knows Dutch and Mandarin Chinese. For our benefit this evening, he will be speaking in English, in which he also seems to be quite fluent. So now, Thaddeus, it is all yours, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, yes, what I was going to mainly talk about today is kind of a revised version of a states presentation I've done, and I don't think you were at that one, Ron and Articulan, so you haven't seen it. But before we even start, this was the problem that I wanted to ask y'all about because you're um, very skilled in storyline. I have a project right now that's from a client that has these types of shapes on it where it's like a circle and then another circle behind it, and they're lined up perfectly on top of each other. This over here is a PNG, like a picture of it. As you can see, it's like perfectly lined up, but when I preview it, I don't know if you can tell, but can you see that it's not lined up anymore?
Yeah, by about a pixel.
Yeah. And I can't show the original slide because it's proprietary, but like when they have like nine of these circles and they all look beautiful. And then when I preview it, it does this that like shifts. Have you all ever had that issue or know how to deal with it before I even start my talk?
And
I have not, but I've seen people in the
if I were
community.
to encounter it, I would have started over and found a different way to do it.
That's why, yeah, yeah. Well, see,
But they had already done it.
they
So,
built it in Storyline and they already
I mean,
did it.
like you don't yell at them and say, "I'm redoing this for you."
Well, I haven't yet. No, literally right before this, I spent like 10 minutes on it and I opened
Yeah.
it and I previewed it and I was like, this isn't looking good. But this is a PNG that I made from it, so I might
Yeah.
just do that. But y'all have never seen that or have any. Okay.
I've seen people in the community have issues with it, and I think some people on our team occasionally have done it. I don't know if I know our design team will sometimes mention something when they're doing something pretty
Mhm.
intricate. Being
Hmm.
on our team that does some intricate designs and builds our templates, will he'll comment something being a pixel off here and there, and
Hmm.
it doesn't seem to be all that easily replicable or repeatable. So I think that's part of the challenge. But I've
What
just made a note here to check in with my support team to see. I
what
have a
is
pretty
the, you know,
direct line to.
hey Thaddeus, like I'm looking at your timeline
Yeah.
and actually Pilar's note just came in front of it, but it's like in your timeline, it looks like it's two different. Is that there's your picture and then you have oval one and oval two, and it
Yeah,
looks
because
like
yeah,
they're
because
two
like look,
different, are
yeah,
they
so
two?
this is the number. This is like a
And,
white oval with a blue background, and this is the
and
number one in a blue background on top of it.
oh, okay. So the one, yeah, I was because I was wondering if it's like that one on top because I'm having a hard time seeing if that
Yeah.
the way it was named would do it. But anyway, sorry. So
Yeah.
So,
It's I just thought I'd ask. I was like, maybe I would have a magical solution. This has happened to me before, and what I do basically, Jody, is like you said, just like, well, we're gonna do it a different way. It's not working. So
so may I
you
ask a
learn.
question? So I use Camtasia, and
mm,
when I have these type of situations, I group them. Can you group those two tracks? And
Yeah,
mm,
yeah. And then when
the same
they
thing?
group them, it still happens when they're grouped, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's just wackadoodle. It drives me nuts because I'm like, it should just stay where it's supposed to be, but it won't. So anyway, I'll move on, but thank you for taking the time to look at that with me.
I think
oh,
it
I thought you
dislikes
were
you
gonna
personally.
solve it. I want to know.
I know. I don't, I just, I feel like the only way to solve it is to make a picture out of it. And but then the pixel, it just doesn't look as good. So I have to make it like really big, take a picture, shrink it back, and then it looks okay. But it just takes so much time and it's so silly. It shouldn't be that way. But
And
Well,
Thaddeus, what is your screen resolution? I mean, your design slide size aspect ratio? Is it a 1920 by 1080?
1280 by 720.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, can y'all see my pop-up windows when they pop up? Do you see the
Yeah.
slide size? Okay.
Yeah, we can see that.
All right. Okay. Well, I'm just gonna move on. I'm gonna not worry about it. And I'll just talk to the client tomorrow and be like, we need to change this design because it ain't gonna work. Okay. So this is my whole spiel. And this is what the basic idea of this whole presentation is. And again, forgive me if you already know all this. But it's something that I discovered when I was learning storyline. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. So when I went, the whole point of this presentation or this talk today is going to be that I'm going to show you a whole bunch of interactions that don't use layers at all. And I have nothing against layers, but sometimes, layers can be a little more restricting. Um, so one thing that I like is I wanted to be able to have something animate on and off. So I wanted entrance and exit animations. And a way that I used to do it was I would have an object animate on the screen and a layer, and then but I wanted them to animate off the screen. And normally what you do is you just hide the layer and it just disappears, or you can pause the layer timeline and then restart it and then let the exit animation happen before it. But this is a way that I discovered to do it in a different way. So I'll just kind of show you what the slide does. And also, I think you all know these slides aren't very pretty, but that's okay. It's just examples. So this basically just shows how you can click something and it animates on, animates off as you click it. And that's using states. So Jody and Ron, you guys already familiar with how that works, right? Yeah. Okay. That's what I thought because I was like,
Well, there's a lot of ways of doing things. You might have done it differently than I would have done it, but
okay. Well, let me show you what I do, and then you can tell me if there's a different way, because this is a great learning experience for everybody, including me. So basically, the way I do it is I add a button first that we're going to be clicking. So why are my default colors so hideous? Yeah, I'm going to go
Mhm.
with that. And let's just call it like scooter. And then I'm going to add an image of a scooter from the content library. So, okay, I like that one. Let's resize it. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make it so when I click this button, this scooter animates onto the screen and then it animates off of the screen. So the way I'm going to do that is I go to this picture that I want, and I'm going to go to states, and then I click on edit states. And I'm going to create a customized state, and I'm just going to call this appear, disappear, appear, disappear. Okay. So I have my new object, or I have my new state here. And what you do is when you go to animations, you notice that you cannot animate this picture on and off. There are no animation options. So to make those appear, you select your picture, you control X, so you cut it, and then you control V and paste it back, and then the animation options work and appear. So I'm going to add the animations to the state, fade on, fade off. And then I'm going to go to my normal state, and I'm actually just going to delete this picture completely so it's not there. Okay. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a trigger to say change the state of picture one to appear disappear when the user clicks button one. Now, so what this will do, it'll make it appear, but it will not disappear yet. So I click scooter and it fades on, but it doesn't fade off when I click again. So to make that happen is I have to add a trigger to say, I'm going to edit my trigger. I'm going to say, change the state of picture to appear, disappear when you clicks button one if the picture is normal. And then I'm going to say, else set the state of picture one to normal. So when you click on it, it will appear, it'll change that state if it's normal, and then it's not in that state anymore. So when you click it again, it will change it back to the normal state. Does that make sense? Are you following the triggers? Okay. So we'll see what that does. So I click on it, it appears, click on it again, and it disappears. And then I can do that as many times as I want, and it's not tied to the timeline. So I kind of like that because it does allow for those exit animations to happen, and I think that that's I kind of like the way that it looks. And of course, you can add any sort of animation you want. You can be super wonky about it. You can do like swivel, and then you can do like a split if you want to just get crazy and see what it does. So,
The trigger that you use, I didn't follow that completely. Is that a toggle trigger or some other type of trigger?
it's not a toggle. It's just changing the state based upon the state of the picture as it is. So it's a little bit weird because you're changing it to normal if it's normal, which seems kind of odd. But imagine that, it's not there, it's in its normal state. So
Right.
when you click on the picture, you set it to that appear, disappear state, that animated state that I made. And then when you click it again, and it'll change that state because it's normal. But then when you click it when it's not normal, meaning it's in its visited state, it'll it changes it back to
Okay.
the normal state.
So using a toggle wouldn't really make sense there. What you're doing seems to be the most.
Yeah, you don't really need one because it's saying change it to this if the picture is normal.
Right.
So it knows, and then once it in this appear disappear state, it's no longer normal. So when you click that button, it goes back to the normal state.
Yeah, very nice.
Hey, Thaddeus, can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
I might have zoned out right at the beginning.
sure.
When you were adding the animation to the appear disappear,
Uh-huh.
you had a picture, you added a state, the appear disappear, and then I think I saw you um, delete the photo and
Hmm.
put it back. Why is that to make the animation stick? Otherwise, it won't stick, or
That's
what?
right. Yeah, it
Okay.
won't work if you don't do that. So,
Okay. So you
um,
can't add the animation to the new state
unless you cut
unless
it and then
you,
repaste it,
okay.
which is really kind of the weird thing. So yeah, you have
Okay.
to go in, you say create a new state. So I could do it. Yeah, I could do it
Mhm.
again. Do you want me to do it again?
Please.
No, I follow, just want to make sure I was following it because I think like
Yeah.
what so I did learn something new because a lot of times I think when I've been putting like an animation or some kind of fade on a state and it doesn't or it takes it for the whole for every single um, option for every single state. So
Mhm.
you got rid of it and then just put it back. It is kind of weird to think about that's what it took, but I'll now I have something new to play with. So
It's a little strange, and I'll show you some other examples of like how to use that.
mm,
So that's
thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for the question. And that's basically the whole idea, like behind what I'm going to show you today. I'm going to show you how different ways to kind of implement this. And I do need to make an accessibility statement that
Mhm.
not all of these may be accessible. You can add alt text to states, but everything I show you may not necessarily be accessible. So do keep that in mind. Um, all right, the next thing I wanted to talk about real quick was the coordinates in states. And this came to mind today because I was working on a project for a client, and what they wanted is they wanted these little red X's or a to appear, or they wanted them to turn into a green check. If the answer is correct, they want it to be a red circle if it's not. And I just wanted to talk about coordinates really quickly here because I do think it's really valuable to know. So if I have this object here, and I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to get rid of this other state and then pretend it wasn't there because I'll show you what I'm doing. So I want to have this red X and I want to have a new state where it's going to be turning into a green check mark. So I'm going to go to new state and I'm going to just call it correct because this is going to be used for like a knowledge check type thing. And then I'm going to insert a check mark and a circle icon. So I'm going to say check. Usually Storyline has, I know it has them because it's here. There we go. There's one, a nice check and a circle that kind of looks like this one. I'm going to add that. So be aware, of course, that this is being added to the state. You can see it move around in the state window as I move it around. It always moves, or it always kind of moves around the slide just like any other object. I'm going to go ahead and just turn this green because I feel like checkmark should be green. No other reason to do that. Okay, so I've got my check mark, and what I want it to do is I want it to be in the exact same place as the X as well. So I want it to be exactly the same coordinates. So you guys notice this little crosshairs that's on the slide?
Yeah, what is that?
So that's basically its own corner of a mini slide. If you kind of just imagine it's like the top left corner of this object.
Okay, got it.
So the cool thing you can do is you can look at your original object. It's a width and height of 107 pixels. So I'm going to go to my new object. I'm going to make sure that I lock the aspect ratio. I'm going to make it the same size as the other circles. Now they're exactly the same size. And I could drag it right on top and make sure it's right on top and use these lovely little crosshairs or these little pink guidelines, which is wonderful. But I can also go to my coordinates, and if I just put in 0, 0, it will line it up perfectly on top
Ooh.
of that other object because what it's doing is it's centering it on that other object, and that's what those little crosshairs is. Of course, though, I don't want that other X to be showing up, so I'm going to delete it. And then I can still go here and uh-oh, I can't see it anymore, but that's okay. I can just still put in 0, 0, and it's exactly where that other X was. So now you can see that it's in the right spot. So that's what I wanted to show you with that. That's just the little crosshairs coordinates thing. I think it's pretty cool. You have any questions about that? Okay, awesome. Next thing. So I was playing around. Well, I had another project I was working on, and that particular project was a diagram of a battery, and it had all kinds of different like ions like floating around in it. And what I needed to do was I needed to have buttons that would highlight those objects when they were clicked on. And I was revamping an old course, and the original course had circles around the objects. And I thought it looked fine, but the client was like, is there a way you could like make it dark and then make things highlight so that they show up through the darkness so you can like see what's behind it? And they wanted something that does something like this. So instead of using a boring diagram of a battery, I made an AI picture of adorable animals. So if I click on mammals, it's highlighting some of the mammals' faces. I click on fish, it highlights the fish. And notice how they're fading in and out. I think that's pretty nice looking. Um, so any ideas how this was done? I'm just curious if what y'all think.
I would guess with states,
It
given
is done with states.
the title of this. So well, did you use the on and off similar to what you just demonstrated? So you have the layer of the dark image, and then on top of that, you have the invisible, the hidden state plus the I
So
see
here's
now.
my states.
You have states for the entire image. Well, you have one for fish and one for mammals then.
Or
Right.
it looks like your top is like a veil with Swiss cheese holes in it that you're
Yeah, so how'd I
back
get
and
those Swiss
forth.
cheese holes?
How'd you get them?
Hmm.
I know how I would have done them.
That's what I want to hear, Jody.
I would have gone to Adobe Illustrator and created them
Okay.
myself and
Well,
created like the veil, but it sounds like you have another way to do
I do have another
there's the new
way.
merge shapes feature that can do that for you too.
Okay.
There's also the like um, making a color disappear by making a color transparent on an object as well. There's a lot of ways I would consider doing it. I would probably try the new merge shapes first.
Okay. Well, I'll show you how I did it, and then I kind of want to hear about the merge shapes because I've never even tried that new function yet. So this is the way I did it, and then I also want to show you all something that I discovered that is super bizarre, and it's kind of a glitch in Storyline when we do this. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna put a nice rectangle right on top of this picture. I'm gonna change it to black. And then I'm going to change the transparency to 35%. Okay, there we go. So now we have our object here. And what I want to do is I'm going to create a state that's just going to highlight the mammals. So what I do is I say edit state. I'm going to go to new state and I'm going to call it mammals. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a circle. Oh, by the way, this picture is the background of the slide. That's like a huge important thing to tell you. It's not just a picture. So if you look on the timeline, you don't see there's no
it's
there's
on
no
the
the picture
master.
is not on there. It's on the background.
Okay.
Okay. So I did that, of course, by going to design, background, and then
Oh,
saying,
okay.
and I said picture fill. I found the file, and then I uploaded it and made it the background of the slide. You could do it on
What
the master. You could do it on the master too, if you wanted.
what is the advantage of doing that?
I'm about to show
He's
you
going to
because it
show
has
you.
it has to be on the background. So if I go
Continue
to
on, sir.
state, yes, and then I go to mammals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a shape. I'm going to insert a circle. I'm going to put around this adorable fox's face. And then once that shape's there, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to say format shape. and then slide background fill.
Ooh.
And then what it does is it punches a hole right through that flat
Ah,
rectangle and it shows through the
head's
background.
blowing up.
Ooh. Ah.
So y'all want to see something real? Okay, and then I'm going to do this. I can add an animation to it, which is what we did before, because this is a new object, right? I don't have to cut it and I don't have to like cut it out and repaste it. It's a new object, so I can add animations to it. Um, and then what I need to do now, let's say done, and we need to be able to access that state. So I'm going to go ahead and add a button to do that. Well, let's do a round button this time. I'm just going to say, here's that hideous color again. It's not that hideous, but I don't like it here. Okay, I'm going to say mammals, and then I'm going to add my trigger. Did I spell mammals wrong? I don't know how to spell. I'm terrible at spelling.
ALS.
Yeah, thank
You
you.
spell the way
You see a
we
spell
spell in the South.
I can spell in German, but I can't spell in English
Either.
for the life of me. All right, so changing, and of course I'm not really doing good instructional design by labeling my stuff correctly, but y'all know that. Changing state of rectangle 2 to mammals when the user clicks button 1. Okay, so we'll take a look. So what'll happen is his little face
Cool.
shows up. Okay. All right.
Can I ask you a
Now,
question on that
yes,
before it
please.
sounds
Yes.
like you're getting ready to move on? So, in that little like peephole, you said use the background graphic to fill it up. And so that's like an independent shape. If you moved it, it would still show what would it show? I'm trying to understand like what storyline is telling it to do because I would have thought it would have filled up like the whole little circle with the whole picture. So what's it doing there?
So so if you just think of, this is what just happened. Oh, I undocked my timeline. Sorry. If you just think of this, this is just the background of your slide.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So here I have a rectangle
Yeah.
and you can do this with any shape at all.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when you just insert a shape, and I'm just going to do it right on the thing, it doesn't have to be the
Mm-hmm.
date. You just right click and then you say format shape, slide background fill. It
Yep.
fills the shape with whatever's in the background right behind it.
Okay.
So you move it around,
'Cause
you still see
like I
it.
said, I would have thought it would have taken that picture and then smushed it into the shape. So
Oh
I didn't,
yeah.
you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
if
you
you would have
sort of
done fill shape with picture, that's what you would have gotten.
right.
So it's because he filled the shape with the background.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I
It's
got
like,
two things I need to try when I get off of
Oh my
here.
gosh. Jody, you don't know what it means. Like, because I even actually mentioned your name. I was like, if Jody's there, like, I can't teach her anything that she doesn't
No,
know. So I'm delighted that if you're getting anything out of this, it makes me very happy.
my mind was just blown.
Oh,
So,
yay. Well, let me show you something really weird. I think it's kind of a glitch. Okay. So here's my state. I'm back in my state again. And I have my cute little fox. Now, if I say, okay, well, I like this, I like the size of this, and this really came up because the thing I was working on for my client had all the things that needed to be highlighted were the same size. They were all like
mhm.
oxygen, O2, O2, O2. They're all the same size. So I needed just the same circle to show up so it show the background through all those circles. So it's like, well, this is easy. All I got to do is just duplicate this circle, and I'm just going to put it on this cute fox's face. And there we go, right? So you think this is all going to work great. Well, let's preview it. What?
Uh,
Uh,
Weird, right? So what it does is it takes the background from that original shape, and it still fills it in with the other shape.
mm,
So I battled with this for a while. I was like, what in the heck is happening? This doesn't seem right. And I moved it around. I was like, okay, well, maybe if I moved it around and all this stuff. Same thing happened. Okay. So I found the solution. All you got to do is go to the format and go to like the outline and just change the color like a tiny bit. Of course, I said no outline, didn't I? Let me change it to having an outline. Okay. So you go to the outline, you just change the color to whatever you want. Then you can set it to transparent so you don't have to see it. And then watch what happens. It works.
Mm.
So there's something about the if and here's another weird thing. If I added a brand new circle to it, Um, if I just went ahead and got another circle and made it exactly 198 by 196 pixels, it does the same thing. It still fills it in with that other picture.
Mm.
So if it's the same color and the same shape, it fills in all those circles with that same original background.
That
So
is
all you
so
have, it's
that,
so weird.
that is so unintuitive. How long did it take you to figure that out?
Like an hour, hour and a half, because
Oh,
it was driving
God.
me nuts. That's what happens as I sit there and I puzzle over it. And I'm like, why? And the way that I figured it out is I added a shape that wasn't a circle and it didn't do it. And I was like, well,
Mhm.
wait a minute. And then I added another shape and then I changed the size of the circle and then it worked. And I was like, oh, well, maybe it just has to be maybe the border color can be different so they do look the same. I want them to look the same. But that's what you had to do to make it work.
Yeah, that slight bit of
I mean,
difference.
this
It's
is a
just,
Yeah.
known this is a known issue with. I filed this a couple years ago with support. So what we do, and that's what my note was, I usually just make them like 1 pixel different on the
Hmm.
size in order to do the same thing. But I like the border trick. That's a nice trick. That way you can keep them the same size. But Articulate's aware of this.
Okay.
It's just not high on there. We're going to fix this issue since you, Thaddeus, and myself, and maybe two other people are the only ones that are using that feature much. So it's not like it's affecting a whole lot of users. But go in there and complain. If more people complain about it, it gets higher on the we need to fix this bug list. So
Yeah, and it does. I mean, yeah, I think it should work the way it's supposed to, right? Because it's a really
yeah,
weird thing. And I just don't think a lot of people, like you said, I don't think a lot of people use that background fill thing very often, but it's really useful in like a lot of ways.
I think Tom did a blog article on it a couple years ago, and so some people started using it. But if everything's the same size, which like if a lot of times people are trying to build a grid, and have the pictures come through the grid.
Hmm.
That that's going to mess you up unless you do the trick you just talked about.
Well, good. Yeah, I think, and Ron. That's what I did too. I started doing them like 1 pixel different, but I think there were like 8 or 9 circles,
Yeah,
and then you could start being able to tell. I was like, no, and then
yeah.
I came up with the border color, making the border color different, but making it transparent so you couldn't see it, and then that solved the problem.
And
So,
you've worked with your team some too. I've gotten feedback from our team before going, I think this object's 1 pixel different than the other object. So they'll figure it out, and then you've got to do something different anyway.
yeah, right, because you could see you can tell after, especially people who have like a really keen eye will notice that.
Yeah, I
So,
can't tell, but they can tell.
right. So yeah, so I
That's a
thought
cool
I thought
trick.
that was interesting to show. And what I've done while we were talking here, I went ahead and added another state for reptile. I went ahead and put in an animation onto this so that it animates onto the screen. And then and I already did my triggers where it says change the state. Let me get rid of that one. I don't know where that came from. Change the state of the rectangle to reptile when you click button 2. And And then you got your final product here where you can click on reptile and then mammal, and the reptile fades out, mammal fades in.
Cool.
Yeah. So I think it's a pretty cool little function. And I think it looks pretty nice. So thought I'd show you all that. Okay. Any questions,
So all
comments?
you did was Ron suggested a little pixel shape difference, and you just changed the outline and
Hmm. And then
okay.
made it transparent so you don't
Yeah.
care because you don't see it.
Okay.
All right, so this one is an interaction where you hover over an object and it highlights various objects that are the same within the image. So if I highlight here, you can see that it's highlighting four different objects when I hover over
Mhm.
this one thing. So it doesn't matter if I hover over this one, actually this one over here, it still highlights all those four, if you see what I mean. So this interaction is done, and kind of what I discovered, what I want you to notice I hover over this blue one, and these two yellow ones also highlight, and then, or I can highlight over them and the blue one highlights. So I think that's pretty cool effect. So the way this works, and it's the way that I discovered, and please tell me if there's a less clunky way to do this. What I do is I'm going to insert a shape, and this is going to be a freeform shape. And let's see, I want to highlight these boxes or this box, and it's going to be really sloppy looking because I'm going quick.
Mhm.
All right, so I've got my freeform shape, and so I've got my base shape here. So now, though, I want this box and let's say this box also to be included in that. So what I need to do is go to states, and I can click Edit States. And then I can go ahead and just add those other shapes in that I want right into the state. So let's say with this box, and let's say I want to do another one. So let's do this one, just kind of random, but okay. So I've got my normal, these normal shapes in this normal state. And then what I want to do though is I'm going to create a new state. Now, this is another kind of glitchy, weird thing I want to show y'all and then show you what the solution I came up with. I want to create a hover state, and I'm going to use one of the built-in states, which sometimes I love and then sometimes I hate.
Mhm.
Now, notice when I added it, it did not carry over those other two shapes because the state can only be for one object at a time.
Mm.
So if I want to add these to this state, all I have to do is simply copy them from the normal, go over to hover, and then I can paste them in. So now they're in there.
Mm.
Then I want these to be outlined. So all you got to do is highlight them, go to shape fill. I want the shape fill to be transparent, or I could have said no fill, doesn't really matter. And then I can go to the outline. Let's do a weight of 5. So I have my nice thickly outlined objects. And can I add an animation to this one? No, I cannot because it's the original shape, but I can animation to these two. Now, in order to add it to this one, I got to do that trick where I cut it and then I paste it back. And now I can add an animation to it. And I'm going to add all animation to all three at the same time. I'm going to have it fade on and then fade off. And that's going to happen when it hovers. Now I'm going to go back to my original shapes here, and I want them to stay there. I don't want them to go anywhere. I just don't want you to be able to see them. So I'm going to make them transparent. Oop, and then boom. So now what Storyline does is it knows that if I hover over any of those three invisible shapes that are here, it will change it to that hover state. But there might be a glitch, and let's see if the glitch happens, because it usually does. So that's working. You can see that it appears and disappears. This one works, but then when I go to the original one,
Hmm.
oh, it's not doing it. Okay, it's
Work.
working. It's
Yep.
not supposed to work. So what it's done before is when you go to the original one, it flickers before it comes on, and then it flickers off. And the solution I had found to that is you just make a custom hover state and then you add a trigger to make it change to the custom hover state when you hover over the object. But I think it's kind of cool though that this is my original object, but I can still hover over this one and it still makes them appear. I can hover over this one and it makes them all appear.
So Thaddeus, if you hover and stay right on the blue part of that original one, that might help you. Stay right on the edge of it. If you go to the edge of it,
You're trying to get it to glitch.
sometimes that gets you the flicker.
Yeah, it's
Because
not
what's
doing.
happening is you're no longer hovering over that object anymore. You're hovering over something on the state of that object. It's almost like a layer. So
Uh,
sometimes that's where you'll see the flicker, but it's very rare that I mean, obviously when you're testing it over and over again, you'll see that. But
yeah. And it's
uh,
funny because I kind of practiced this before we met tonight and it was doing it and now it's not doing it. It's like when you go to the doctor to be seen for
oh
something,
yeah,
but then you're fine when you get there.
yeah.
So so yeah, I just think this is pretty cool because it's a nice way to use states and it's a nice way to it doesn't require any extra triggers or anything if you're using that built-in hover state. And when it works, it's beautiful. So
And can you try something for me on that? If you go to that object
yeah,
again
yeah.
and go to the states of it,
Mhm.
when you go to hit edit states, instead of hitting new state, hit the copy state option, which is the third one over,
Mhm.
and it should be able to bring in all three of the items instead of just the main one.
Oh, cool. Really? So let's do, well, here, let me get rid of my original this one so we can see that happen. So copy and then oh yeah, that makes sense because
It
yep,
should have them all on there. Yeah.
they are there. Yeah. Nice,
I
Ron.
mean, your
Thank you.
solution was fine to do it that way, but sometimes people forget about the copy state and they're just always doing new state instead. But copy state's a nice feature to have as well.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Yeah, that really yeah, so much better than having to like cut them and paste them. Oh, can you animate these? No. Can you animate this one? Yes. So it's still the original one. You still have to do that cut and paste again to make it animate, I guess. Wait. But it's not. Oh, yeah. So now you can. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Ron. That is a nice tip. Okay, so the other things I was going to show, this is a tab interaction with a traditional using layers. So I just want you guys to look at this interaction. Really complex slide here, storyline. Come on now. Okay, so just a
Paris, the
typical,
capital of France, is a city renowned for its timeless elegance,
maybe we really don't need to hear the audio. There is audio though. So notice that, just like a typical, and I did different animations on this on purpose, but just notice that when the new tab is clicked, the other one, the old one just disappears. The old layer disappears, the new one shows up. No exiting, right? Which is fine. But I built another tab interaction with 0 layers, and it also has audio, but I don't think I shared my audio when I shared my screen. But if y'all
Oh
are,
no, we heard it.
oh, you did? Okay. So this is using states instead, and I want you just to notice the animations.
Paris, London,
So notice how
Berlin,
one fades,
Rome, the
goes
capital of
away, and the
Germany,
other one
Rome,
shows
the
up,
capital of Italy.
which I think is pretty cool because it kind of has that close out and open up function. And then this one is just fading out, and then this one fades out while this one fades in, as opposed to just disappearing and fading in. Do y'all see the difference? It may be so subtle it doesn't matter, but so like this one, notice that it kind of closes and
Like
then
an accordion.
yeah, like an
Yeah.
accordion. And that can be done with layers, but you'd have to pause the timeline of the layer just before the exit animation and then restart it. But this is done with states instead, which I think is just kind of a cool look. Again, though, not sure about accessibility with this, and that's where it's a little tricky. But yeah, so these states basically, this is the tab, and then this is a state of that tab. And then, yeah,
Oh, let me see. Okay.
yeah. And then, and I thought I thought I
Huh.
had
I
hover
never
or
would have
something.
thought of doing it that way. That's cool. That's three things.
Yeah, it's just a different way of doing a tab
You know how
interaction.
many tabs I've done? A
Probably,
million, and I never would have tried that. So thank
yeah.
you.
The only thing though, I think, Jody, is that I don't know if it's fully accessible. I don't
Yeah.
know. It should be because when you change to the other state, it should just change it. And then the audio, instead of being on layers, the audio is all on the timeline. And then you just play the audio for whatever tab is selected, and then you pause it when it's not selected. So that's how you can add audio to
Okay,
it
so it
later.
doesn't start over
Right.
every
So it
time. It
just
just picks up. Okay,
continues where it left off.
cool.
Yep. So yeah, that's the tab interaction. And we have 10 more minutes. So let me see if there's anything else. That's kind of the bulk of what I want to show you. I think everyone else is kind of everything else is kind of a reiteration of, or just kind of a different version of what I've already shown you. This one is one where you have these pens and they each have their own state. I'll kind of show you what it looks like. This is from an e-learning heroes challenge, which by the way, I haven't done in forever, Jody. I've been
Me
fortunately
either.
busy and haven't been able
Me
to do it.
either.
Yeah. If you don't see me doing them, it means I'm busy, so that's good.
That's
But
not
yeah,
my
Great
this
news.
excuse.
exactly. This is one where the states, show up, they animate onto
Oh,
the screen when you click on the pen, which I think is kind of nice looking. And then you click away and it disappears. So same idea here. Each of these pens has its own state, and the state itself of the object is animated with a float in, float out animation. Um, but one thing, oh, the drag and drop, the non-accessible drag and drops. One thing I do want to point out, even though drag and drops aren't accessible, people don't use them as often because of that. The difference between this one is this pin has all of the different states included onto it, and they're also animated. But one thing that I wanted to point out here is always just remember that when you add something to a state, it's going to move with that original object. So that's why when you see these on here, like this is going off of the slide. But of course, when you drop it in the correct place, this thing that says Santorini on it is going to follow the pin and it's going to be in the right position when you drag it. So that's one thing I think sometimes we forget is that the state actually follows around with that original object. So this one is the same idea, but this is a drag and drop instead, where you take the pen and you can drag it and drop it on something, and then the thing appears. You drag it off and it disappears. But you can kind of see as you're dragging it away, the thing kind of follows the pen, right? Because it's part of that pen state. So it's kind of a cool effect. So.
Mhm.
All right, and I think one last thing is this interaction that I built again for the e-learning heroes challenge. This one is using markers, so the native built-in markers that come with Storyline. Um, and what I did here too, let's just look and see how it works first. You get to hear some musical instruments. Again, no layers on this one, which this could totally be done with layers. But why do it with layers when you do it with states? Okay, so you click on, let's get rid of the menu. So,
Hmm.
yeah,
okay.
that's nice.
All right, so these markers have these built-in animations that are already there. And then when you click on them, this window that opens is already there. But there are various things happening with different objects on here that have different states. So let's take a look at what those are. The first one is one called background fade. The original state, and I don't remember why I would have done this when I made this. Maybe I didn't know better back then, but it has the initial state of hidden. So this is basically the fade of the background, and this has a animation, a fade in and out animation on this dark rectangle. And then each of the instruments, let's just take a look at the mandolin. This has a background that fades in for the instrument. And then it also has a large version of the instrument that flies in and out. And that's the animation, fly in, fly out from the left and from the right. So and then we also have, I think that's it. So when you click on the marker, what it does is it makes the background dark thing fade in, and then the background for the instrument fades in, and then the instrument flies in, and all that's done with states. Then I also made it so that the title up here disappears because it's not distracting, and then all the other markers are hidden as well when you select one of the markers. But there's a lot of triggers here, as you can see. So I don't think we have time to get into all this, but I just thought this was kind of a cool way to use states, and also want you to see that, these, even though these are grouped, each of these has their own state, and each of those states has their own animation.
So
And
it's the trigger is you click on the marker, and
so
the
we
marker
can,
does its thing. It opens up, and then it changes the state of the instrument. Is that what's going on there?
right, and then we can look at this. Here's some triggers right here. So
Sorry, I can't read. I can't
I
see.
know it's like, I wish there's a way I can enlarge this.
Yeah.
So basically what it's saying is for the mandolin marker, I use the when the content opens and when the content closes trigger. So this is saying set background fade to fade, meaning make it the background darkening thing fade in when the content opens.
Hmm.
Then the rectangle that shows up behind the mandolin fades in when it opens, and then the mandolin flies in when the content opens. And then all the other markers are hidden. The title is hidden. And then when the content closes, everything goes back to normal. So the background goes to normal. The background for the instrument goes back to normal. The instrument flies off the screen, meaning it goes back to normal. And then all the other markers come back to normal, and the title comes back to normal.
That's a
I don't
lot of
think I've ever
triggers.
used that trigger with the when it opens and closes. So four things.
Yeah. Yay. Well, I think it would work if you just say when they click on it, but the content opening and closing, it's a little bit different with the
Buys the
timing.
time, right?
Yeah, it makes it
It,
come in
yeah,
after it opens, then it comes in, because otherwise when you click it and it all comes in at
yeah,
once, it just doesn't feel as nice.
yep.
So that was the one I was going to show you there. Anyway, well, that was everything. I had a couple other things to show, but that's all we had time for. So I really appreciate y'all, and thank you for
I got
helping
my
me learn
money's
new
worth.
things. And yay, it really makes me feel happy. I was a little worried about it. So
Thank you, Thaddeus. That was
thanks.
fabulous.
Thank you, John.
It
All
was
right. Well,
the true nature of a real workshop. We worked on problems and we shared different ways of doing
Well,
things.
I know for me, like, because I work by myself, like, I don't have cube mates like the old days where I used to go, "Hey, Thaddeus, like, how did you do that?" So this is super helpful. Like, I'm not, just stroking you. I did learn four things, so thank you.
awesome. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad it was a good use of
Yep.
time. So,
Yep.
all right. Well, thank y'all. Happy developing, everybody.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving
Okay.
for everybody
Happy
next week.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, you too.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you all for attending.